Tonight, Celeste Mano's evil killer sentenced to 36 years behind bars, but her mum says justice has been denied.
Jerome Weimar refuses to answer simple questions about his Com Games payout.
Breaking news on a violent attack that shut down Hosier Lane will cross live.
An Australian-Chinese businessman jailed for foreign interference in trying to influence a federal minister.
The Matildas book their spot in Paris after a thumping victory at Marvel Stadium.
And 80-year-old twins among leap year babies celebrating a rare birthday.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Alicia Loxley and Tom Steinfort.
Good evening. The obsessed stalker who stabbed his former co-worker to death in her bed has been sentenced to 36 years behind bars.
But Celeste Mano's furious mother says that's not enough and the monster should have been locked up for life. Court reporter Amber Johnston.
Aggie DeMaro prepared a statement hoping for the best. But she says the system has let her down.
It's outrageous, absolutely unbelievable that the court decided to grant him mercy, even though he showed Celeste none.
She wanted her daughter's killer, Louise Seiko, jailed for life. Instead, Justice Dixon delivered this sentence.
Louise Seiko, I sentence you to 36 years imprisonment. I fix a non-parole period of 30 years.
Celeste Mano was killed in a jealous rage fuelled by unrequited love. The 23-year-old's cause of death, a stab wound to the heart.
Clearly, I'm devastated. We all are.
Celeste was murdered by her deranged former colleague just hours after she went public with her new boyfriend. Seiko researched the floor plan of her Mernda home and broke into her bedroom as she slept, stabbing her 23 times in a frenzied attack that lasted 3 minutes.
Aggie had awoken to the sound of breaking glass and had gone to check on her daughter. She found Celeste lying on the bed covered in blood.
It was a moment of kindness that fuelled Seiko's deluded obsession after Celeste wished him well when he was sacked. What followed was more than a year of relentless stalking, Seiko bombarding her with texts. It's bordering on OCD. You're all I think about. I'm so infatuated with you, it's becoming unhealthy. This obsession with you, which is a crush, is an addictive and destructive feeling. Until she took out an intervention order that failed to protect her and potentially others in the future. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Rajan Darji warning Seiko is likely to prey on female prison guards. This is the image he was so desperate to avoid, telling the court he doesn't want to be seen as a monster. Now he'll be remembered as nothing but.
I want the beast that took my daughter away from me to know and have no doubt whatsoever that he is safer inside.
And our court reporter Amber Johnston is still at the Supreme Court tonight. Amber, Celeste's family says this is not the end of the fight.
Well, Alicia, Aggie has already said she wants to go to the Court of Appeal. As you just saw, she and the rest of the family are devastated at today's decision and have vowed to continue to campaign for change to honour Celeste. Meanwhile, Seiko faces a lonely couple of decades in jail. Today, Justice Dixon did say that prison will be more onerous on him because he does have a personality disorder. The 39-year-old has already said he wants to remain in solitary confinement, which is where he will stay until he is released, which with time already served could be at the age of 66.
OK, Amber, thank you.
Jerome Weimar has refused to answer questions about his six-figure Com Games payout or his lucrative new role. The high-profile public servant was spotted for the first time since being handpicked to run another major project. Heidi Murphy has more.
Sprung on his way into work.
Can we ask you just about the...
No.
Do you understand, I guess, why people are concerned about how you got the role?
No comment.
Jerome Weimar had little to say also on his reported $160,000 Com Games payout.
No comment.
Then silent on how he's coping with all the scrutiny.
Does it bother you, Mr. Weimar, being the subject of so much conversation?
The same answer again on how much work he's done so far in his new housing role.
I think time's up for Jerome Weimar. He's literally been seen running away from being accountable to Victorians.
The Premier maintains the position is crucial.
We need strong coordination from the centre of government.
I don't think that Victorians can have confidence in him and it's time for Jacinta Allen to tell him it's time to go.
This housing statement that Mr Weimar's in charge of implementing is nearly 6 months old now, and the industry is warning it's already looking a little off track. New home approvals sitting at 54,000 for this year, down from 58,000 last year, and further away from the 80,000 a year target.
Year one is not looking positive. That to deliver over the 10-year cycle will need a massive step up in effort.
We are in the very early stages of the rollout of those reforms.
It appears there's a long way to go for the man who only has a short time to get the big job started. Heidi Murphy, 9 News.
A man has been taken to hospital after a violent assault in the heart of Melbourne. Reid Butler is on Hosier Lane this evening. Reid, it was a huge police response.
Yes, Alicia, a horrible thing to have happened in such a beloved and famous part of Melbourne. People come to Hosier Lane for selfies, not crime scenes, but that is exactly what was here for a big part of this afternoon. Late today, a violent fight broke out between multiple people. I've been told that there was a wine bottle being brandished. One man was hurt badly enough to require hospital treatment. He was taken away to the Alfred after being punched heavily in the head. Our exclusive vision shows the drama that was unfolding here. It was drawing quite a crowd. A lot of people had to witness the bloody aftermath of this incident, including this man.
It's obviously pretty confronting, being a place that I spend quite a bit of time in, because I know it's obviously not the first time sort of things have happened down here.
Now, as for what caused this fight, that is not clear at this stage. Police will be investigating. A horrible thing to happen anywhere, let alone this busy tourist spot that's so popular with families in broad daylight. Alicia?
Absolutely. OK, Reid, thank you.
Mystery surrounds the death of a man in the Yarra Ranges. Gillian Lantouris is in Mooroolbark for us tonight. Jill, the homicide squad has been called in.
Yes, Tom, as you can see, there is still a crime scene behind me here on Bryce Avenue in Mooroolbark. Paramedics were called around 8:30 this morning after a friend of the victim found him unresponsive. They all tried to do CPR on that man, but sadly he couldn't be revived. Now, that man, he is in his 30s. He is a big member of the Chin community group here in Mooroolbark, and police are currently in the process of contacting his family and loved ones overseas. Now, I have spoken to the man's friend today, who says he was assaulted just in the days leading up to his death. So no doubt that will form part of the police investigation. I've spoken to a lot of residents here. On this side there is two community centres, a lot of young children and mums coming in and out, and on the other side is a busy plaza. So a lot of foot traffic and a lot of concerned residents. Take a listen.
It's very sad, always losing life. As a business owner here, we feel unsafe.
It's definitely scary, it's very confronting feeling, knowing that's sort of going on literally at our back door.
The homicide squad and forensics have been scouring this parkland all day, looking for any evidence pointing to how this man died. But, Tom, ultimately they'll have to wait for the results of an autopsy.
Gillian Lantouris there with the latest. Thank you.
A breakthrough for police investigating an arson attack linked to Melbourne's tobacco wars. Detectives searched a home in St Albans and arrested a 20-year-old man. The Emerald Reception Centre in Thomastown was one of 2 venues scheduled to host a fight by former bikie Sam Abdul Rahim. Well, police are examining video of accused killer Beau Lamar Condon in the moments before and after he allegedly murdered Jessie Baird and partner Luke Davies. The 28-year-old was allegedly recorded scoping out Jessie's home and making 2 trips to a shopping centre for surfboard bags. Damien Ryan has the story.
You were looking at accused killer Beau Lamar Condon at Miranda Westfield, just 3 hours after he allegedly murdered Jessie Baird and Luke Davies. He walks out of a sports store with a surfboard bag under his arm. The police case is he bought the bag to carry the body of Luke. 2 days earlier, before the alleged murders, same store and same purchase. The police constable walking in with a friend. They leave with a surfboard bag slung over his shoulder. This time, a bag police alleged to use to dispose of Jessie. Detectives will claim he thought he only needed 1 bag for his alleged target, Jessie. But when he arrived at the Paddington home, Luke Davies was also there, and shot dead. New vision obtained by 9 News shows a man in a black cap pulling up in a black SUV on that morning, 25 metres from Jesse's house. He gets out and then drives away at 9 a.m. 50 minutes later, the 2 young men are allegedly gunned down with his police-issued pistol. The following day, police alleged he returned to the house in a rented van he used to move the bodies. Fast forward 8 days to Tuesday, they were found inside 2 surfboard bags dumped 200 kilometres away on a property at Bungonia, southwest of Sydney. It will be alleged 3 shots were fired to kill both men, and now a security camera from a house on this street has captured the actual sound of those alleged shots. Now that recording has been handed to police. Piece by piece, frame by frame, police are building their case. Damien Ryan, 9 News.
Australia's corridors of power have been rocked by revelations from our top spy that a former politician betrayed the country to foreign agents.
As Charles Croucher reports, there are growing calls to name and shame the accused.
Synchronised and on show. Philippines President Bongbong Marcos, the second leader of a crucial Pacific ally to address Parliament this month.
Geopolitical polarities and strategic competitions threaten our hard-won peace.
Competitions playing out on the seas, online and in the shadows.
While the terrorism threat level is possible, if we had a threat level for espionage and foreign interference, it would be at certain the highest level on the scale.
Last night, Australia's top spy, Mike Burgess, warning foreign powers are targeting more Australians than ever before, including a former Member of Parliament caught aiding an adversary.
This politician sold out their country, party, former colleagues to advance the interests of a foreign regime.
The politician wasn't named, their actions at the time not a crime. Tonight, that response not enough for many.
A rap over the knuckles for a traitor is unacceptable. It's not enough.
I don't think they'll be stupid enough to repeat what they've done in the past. So, problem neutralised.
I'm sure they know who they are, and I'm sure they were listening last night.
Malcolm Turnbull's son Alex says he was approached by Chinese agents and reported it to ASIO. Peter Dutton says it's a Labor MP without evidence, but neither side named names, even with the protection of parliamentary privilege.
Why won't you name the traitor now?
It's a document that is very much the Director-General's and ASIO's to do so.
If someone's a traitor to Australia and you're not telling us who it is, then we need to know.
Out of the shadows, Houthi rebels are still disrupting normal shipping in the Red Sea. Tonight, a further half-dozen Australian Defence Force personnel will join the international headquarters in Bahrain.
It's very important that we are a part of this mission because our national interest is completely tied up as an island trading nation.
ASIO's warning the Middle East war and the standoff in the waters around China all point to a disruption in the rules-based order which is threatening our way of life here and around the region.
Australians need to know the threat is real, the threat is now, and the threat is deeper and broader than you might think.
More than sabres rattling tonight. Charles Croucher, 9 News.
A Melbourne businessman has become the first person to be convicted of breaching foreign interference laws. The one-time Liberal candidate was jailed for trying to influence former Federal Minister Alan Tudge. Neri Tai reports.
A generous donation to the Royal Melbourne Hospital, which seemed to be in good faith. In the middle of the pandemic, when Victoria's health system was on its knees, Deesan Duong handed over this cheque during a media conference with the then Federal Minister, Alan Tudge. But now the Chinese-Australian businessman has been jailed, found guilty of preparing or planning to commit an act of foreign interference.
It's a pretty significant development in terms of it being the first example of someone being convicted under these laws.
Prosecutors argued the former Liberal candidate was a practiced operative who used the hospital donation to gain political influence, cultivating a relationship with Mr. Tudge. You believed he could potentially be persuaded to influence Australian government policy in a manner favourable to the Chinese Communist Party.
Not something which is necessarily really overt and clear, and it can be a matter of seeking to build up relationships over an extended period of time.
Most of the trial was held behind closed doors because the identities of witnesses needed to be protected. The jury spent a week deliberating before reaching a guilty verdict. In sentencing, the judge took into consideration Mr Duong's advanced age and lack of prior convictions, but he also noted it's a serious offence and there was no evidence of remorse. Mr Duong was sentenced to 2 years 9 months jail, but will be released after serving 1 and placed on a good behaviour bond.
It's also possible that there will be some kind of retaliatory action from the Chinese government.
Neri Tai, 9 News.
Matilda star Michelle Heyman is still in disbelief after her fairy tale comeback to the squad culminated in 4 goals against Uzbekistan. Her starring performance helped the Aussies book their ticket to the Paris Olympics in front of a sellout crowd at Marvel Stadium. Xander Maguire has more.
She only had 3 hours sleep, but nothing could dampen Michelle Heyman's spirit this morning.
To be able to walk out onto that field with those girls in front of that incredible crowd was everything that I've ever wanted.
In a 10-0 demolition job, the 35-year-old was the X factor, booting her 4 goals in the first half.
Driven back in, and there it is.
You think a hat-trick's cool, and then when you get 4, I was just like, wow. Like, I think I was in shock. I didn't even know how to celebrate that. Like, I think I should have done a little bit more.
After retiring from international soccer in 2019 due to injuries and a mental health battle, Heyman thought her time in the limelight was over. From the stands, she watched the Matildas rocket to stardom, desperate to find a way back into Tony Gustafsson's team.
I just put everything I could to get back in this squad and, trying to score as many goals for Canberra United so I could, hi Tony, can you let me in?
When Sam Kerr did her ACL, the striker position became vacant. But not in her wildest dreams would Heyman's first game back on home soil have panned out like this.
It's like it's my first time again. I get to play for my country and I got to have my family in the crowds.
While she was pivotal in earning our place in Paris, Heyman's spot in the squad of 18 isn't a lock.
Just working on my fitness, working on everything else to get that ticket.
But it seems the people already can't imagine this team without her.
To be able to walk out of the hotel and just be stopped by so many people, cars beeping at you, screaming, "Hey man," and all this, good luck. It's such a beautiful moment.
Xander Maguire, 9 News.
Just when you think the Matildas can't get any more lovable, she turns up.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Probably our best loved team, I would say, in Australia, for that matter. Can we do that again?
In the world. In the world. I think in the world's correct.
OK, good. Anyway, thank you, Tom. Thanks, Alicia. As the AFL clubs edge closer to the season proper, it's just 1 week away, if you can believe that, the Cats find a positive out of Cam Guthrie's injury, specifically this man.
I'm working on a couple of things and my role this year will be similar to previous years, where it could be a lot of different varieties.
Also tonight, lock him in. North Melbourne is absolutely wild about Harry. Green hits a purple patch across the ditch. Not for the first time in Melbourne. The Union takes charge. And it's on. Nathan Brown and Kane Corns to meet in the boxing ring, and the gloves are already off. And I've got to say, from where I sit, it's a win-win situation, that one.
What's the result you're hoping for?
Just both of them.
We'll see.
Okay.
Ahead in Melbourne's 9 News, close call. A suspicious fire gets within metres of homes in Western Victoria.
Prince Harry loses his High Court battle against the British government.
And a little bit of karma for the cheeky Taylor Swift fan who snuck into her concert. Victoria Police has apologised after it wrongly accused and charged a man with sex crimes he didn't commit. Mark Santomartino has more on this. Mark, how did this happen?
It appears to be an humiliating case of mistaken identity, Alicia. What complicates this matter is the fact that the 44-year-old in question is one of that group of 149 asylum seekers controversially released into the community by the High Court last year. He was arrested on Tuesday night and has spent the past 2 nights in custody. Police even went so far as to charge him with a number of sex offences, saying that they had CCTV and GPS tracking data that proved he was in the vicinity of these crimes. However, today they have since admitted to lawyers that they have the wrong man. Detectives returned to Richmond and have apparently found some CCTV that proves he's not the man they're after, and they're now in the process of withdrawing these charges.
As soon as we became aware of this issue, we have rectified it. On this occasion, with further evidence, it is clear the person arrested is not the offender, and for that we are sincerely sorry.
Alicia, we don't have any details on who this new offender is. That 44-year-old from Richmond hasn't been released from custody just yet. We believe he's being held in the Magistrates Court. This investigation is still very much ongoing, and anyone with information is urged to come forward.
Quite extraordinary. OK, Mark Santamartino, thank you.
A motorcyclist has been killed in a crash in Nunawading. The man is believed to have collided with a truck which was turning on Springvale Road just before 7:30 this morning. The driver was not hurt and stopped to help. Northbound lanes were closed between Springfield Road and the Eastern Freeway for some time.
Residents near Ballarat have had a close call with an out-of-control fire, which investigators fear could have been deliberately lit. As Mimi Becker reports, dozens of properties were under threat.
It was a close call. Burnt out bushland just metres from homes in Dereel.
It hasn't really sunk in fully, knowing that that was on fire and this was right there. It almost could have burned it. It's a bit of an emotional moment.
It's a lot to take in. The damage left behind and what could have been. 350 firefighters tackled the blaze late yesterday in extreme conditions with significant support from above.
It just went black, and from my house to the front gate, I couldn't see the front gate. That's how black it was, middle of the day. And so I think that's time for me to go.
While nearly 120 properties were saved, several sheds were destroyed.
If you can get out of here with your lives and your family and this and that, that's all that counts.
Without the resources available, just happened to be there, they've saved this whole community from a catastrophe.
Specialist crews are treating the fire as suspicious and also considering whether a faulty electric fence may be to blame.
The cause of the Dereel fire is actually under investigation. We know that there was no dry lightning around at the time.
While residents have been able to return home, their focus is now on the clean-up. Fire crews also out in the area, still putting out hotspots. Crews at the Baindean Blaze near Beaufort also kept busy, working through dense bushland. The fire finally under control a week after it started.
The workers, the firefighters, the organisations involved are to be commended for their remarkable effort to contain that and not let those fires run.
Today, the Premier visited Ballarat to thank those on the front line.
Just popped in to say thank you for coming and helping out.
Firefighters still out there tonight, working tirelessly.
These fires in the western part of the district could have been so much worse, but it is thanks to that preparation, training and readiness from our firefighters.
They put their lives on the line and can't thank them enough.
In Dereel, Mimi Becker, 9 News.
A raging wildfire in Texas has claimed a life and grown into the second largest fire in the state's history. The monster blaze has burned through more than 340,000 hectares. An 83-year-old grandmother was killed. Smoke and flames are now spreading into neighbouring Oklahoma.
Prince Harry has suffered a loss in his ongoing battle with the British government over taxpayer-funded private security. The High Court has ruled the 39-year-old was not unfairly stripped of security detail after he stepped back from royal duties and moved to California. The Duke intends to appeal.
A man's been slapped with a 6-month ban from Sydney's Olympic Park after sneaking into a Taylor Swift concert. Garnet May posted this video on TikTok showing how he made a fake access all areas pass. He was waved through by Accor Stadium security to the highly sought-after floor seating. However, it wasn't long before police figured out what was going on and kicked him out. But his $150 fine is still significantly less than most ticket prices for her concerts.
OK, Livinia Nixon has taken weather on the road this week, and tonight she joins us from Avenel, the heart of Strathbogie wine country. Livinia.
It sure is, Alicia. I'm at the award-winning Fowles Wines, one of the most beautiful and innovative wineries in the country. Their Ladies Who Shoot Their Lunch Shiraz has twice been named in Wine Spectator's top 100 wines in the world, and the winery also has a spectacular sustainable farm-to-table restaurant. It's also leading the way in utilising local flora and fauna in the winemaking process. The local species of microbats keep destructive moths at bay, and in partnership with the Euroa Arboretum, they can select the right plants to attract insects to pollinate and protect the vines. Processes that could save the industry millions of dollars and keep our wines free from insecticides. Coincidentally, the forecast for Melbourne tomorrow is exactly the optimum temperature for grape growing, 26 degrees. I'll have all the forecast for you later in the bulletin, Tom.
Learn something every day. Thank you, Livinia. After the break, stranded on crutches, a man hits out at the taxi drivers who refused to take him home.
Jetstar's CEO promises cheaper airfares for Victorians with the travel bug.
And why homeowners with rooftop solar are about to be shortchanged. A mother and son have escaped harm after their Melton home was peppered with bullets. Police say shots were fired at the front door of the property on Colliner Street at around midnight.
I feel horrible actually. Nobody is hurt, but there's damage to the property.
Detectives were scoping the scene this morning. The investigation remains ongoing.
13 Cabs has been forced to apologise after more than half a dozen taxi drivers refused a fare for an injured man on crutches. Keith Sutherland has vowed to never take a taxi again after he had to hobble home in yesterday's heat. Dougal Beattie has more.
On crutches after recovering from surgery in the scorching heat.
I was devastated. I just couldn't believe that they could be so terrible.
75-year-old Keith Sutherland was refused cab after cab at the Collins Square taxi rank late yesterday afternoon.
They said, well, go to the back of the queue. They might take you home.
All up, 8 cabs declined to take him the 1 kilometre trip to Docklands, forcing him to hobble home for 30 minutes in the blistering sun.
It was 33 degrees, stinking hot, 4:30 in the day, and I got home, almost collapsed because I was so dehydrated.
Awarded a Medal of the Order of Australia for his service to the Bendigo community, Keith hit out at the operator last night. Today, 13 cabs reached out to say sorry in person. We sincerely apologise for the experience you've had with our services. We will be promptly looking at the drivers at this location at the time to ensure appropriate action is taken to address the poor service.
I think it's important that people report that sort of instance.
Frankly, the state government should be making it much easier for people to report taxis that do the wrong thing.
Keith has now signed up for an Uber account, vowing to never take taxis again.
Something has to be done because the system is definitely broken.
Dougal Beattie, 9 News.
Jetstar's CEO has defended the airline's performance but concedes there is room for improvement. Stephanie Tully has declared the budget carrier is back on track, performing at pre-COVID levels. Madeline Spark explains.
It's party mode at Jetstar with a new uniform to usher in what it hopes is a new era.
New planes, new routes, lots of new people, and it was time for a change.
It's the first change to crew outfits in 2 decades. Travel itself the inspiration.
Mesmerising view you get from a plane, you know, it's quite romantic and it's fleeting, but it also feels like you're going somewhere.
And the cost of going somewhere is tipped to come down, according to Flight Centre boss Graham Turner.
International airfares dropping about 14%, and we predict they're going to drop about another 9% over the next 6 months.
He puts that down to more international carriers entering the market.
Airfare in peak season, which might be $3,000 to $3,500, even up to $4,000. If you can save 14 or 15%, that's $300 or $400 at least.
Jetstar's CEO agrees prices have already dropped, but in response to the airline's performance in January, 69% of departures were on time. She says there's always more work to do.
We'll never rest on it. We'll always keep trying to improve it. But we do know December was really impacted by the cyclone in Cairns.
January and I'm pleased to say February, which ends today, have had over 70.
The uniform shake-up coincides with a major milestone for Jetstar. This week, it's celebrating 20 years since flights first went on sale. And flying for 10 of them, Captain Rosina Helbig.
I don't think a lot of young women have considered the career of a pilot before, so hopefully, like the saying goes, you cannot be what you cannot see.
Madeline Spark, 9 News.
Victorians with rooftop solar will take a 32% hit to the rate they collect from feeding power back into the grid. The growing amount of solar generation during daytime hours is being blamed for the cut.
There needs to be more work done in this space, which is why we want to continue to support more Victorians to have more solar panels on their roofs.
300,000 houses are currently on the Solar Homes program.
When 9 News returns, rough ride. A freak wind gust forces a hot air balloon to land in a tree at Greensborough.
A popular Kmart gadget recalled over choking fears.
And 80-year-old leap year twins celebrate their 20th birthday. A hot air balloon carrying 8 passengers has crashed into a tree in Melbourne's northeast. Firefighters were called to Greensborough around 8:30 this morning after a wind gust pushed the balloon off course. Everyone on board, thankfully, got out safely.
A Bluetooth tracking device sold at Kmart has been recalled with urgent warnings about the product's batteries. Packaging for the Anko Smart Tag, sold from late December to mid-February, it doesn't have safety messages about its coin battery. If swallowed, the battery could cause severe or fatal injuries in less than 2 hours.
New ABS data has laid bare the issues being faced by retailers so far this year, but a bonus day has helped make up for it. Finance editor Chris Kohler.
With this being a leap year and today being the extra day, that means extra money for the economy. More specifically, this quarter will be 91 days instead of 90. That's worth an extra $6.6 billion to the national accounts, according to some clever economists. So the good old calendar is pitching in to keep the economy right side up this year too, which is good because Australians spent less at the shops in January than expected. 1.1% growth compared with the 1.5% the market was hoping to see. So retailers had a lean start to the year, which also helps explain why Harvey Norman today reported its half-year profit tumbled 45%. There were some bright spots in the result though, so investors actually pushed Harvey Norman's share price higher. Overall, the share market recovered from early falls to briefly touch record highs, and the Aussie dollar was buying 65 US cents and 60 euro cents.
And looking at the price of unleaded across Melbourne tonight, the average is $1.89 a litre, but you can find it cheaper in Eltham and Richmond.
Now, February 29 is a day to celebrate new arrivals and veteran leaplings. For a select few Australians, a leap year means the chance to mark their real birthdays. Justine Conway has more.
Melbourne's littlest leapling. Born at Mercy Hospital, baby Penelope will be 4 when she celebrates her first birthday.
I was actually in pre-labour for almost a week and I was hoping it would come before or after, but I feel like it's something special and it doesn't happen that often.
New dad Danny knows firsthand what it's like to have a birthday every 4 years. He's a leapling born in the year of the dragon. This morning his wife gave birth to their leap year baby Hugh, also born in the year of the dragon. The chances of that? 1 in 300 million.
I still don't believe he's here today.
Almost as rare are leapling twins. Peter and Janice celebrating their 20th real birthday. Their real age just slightly more advanced.
80 years old. And we're having our 20th birthday.
While Janice has spent the past 42 years living in the UK, she wouldn't miss marking the milestone with her brother.
When we saw one another, and this morning, so happy birthday to one another.
If you're born on February 29, you are in rare company. Statistically, it is Australia's least common birthday. Only 2,300 babies were born on this day between 2007 and 2016.
I suppose in a way it is special because you're different.
I think every 4 years we just have to have something extravagant.
Justine Conway, 9 News.
All right, let's get more sport with Tony Jones.
Thanks, guys. Coming up after the break, why one cat's injury curse could be a blessing for another. Also tonight, a burgeoning ruse sets himself up for life. The green deck that turned into Green's deck, and it's Brown versus Corns in the ring. This is no joke. Geelong veteran Mark Blitzarves hopes to find a silver lining from the loss of an injured teammate, that being Cam Guthrie. As Joshua Daw tells us, the Cats will again turn to Blitzarves' versatility to try and fill that hole in the midfield.
Chris Scott spent much of this week searching for answers. Turns out the solution might be a lot closer than he thinks.
I'm working on a couple of things, and my role this year will be similar to previous years, where it could be a lot of different varieties.
Last year, injuries forced Mark Blitzarves down back. Now a pre-season on the wing is about to pay off. A shot at the freedom which saw him dominate during Geelong's premiership year, and an opportunity to step up in the absence of his mate Cam Guthrie.
You don't cover it because he's pretty good player on the defensive end and the attacking end, but if that can complement it through the midfield and wing, I really enjoy being up around the ball, and then I suppose that second type ruck, helping the ruckman that we've got coming in.
After his season ended with a nasty hamstring injury and then shoulder surgery, the 32-year-old is buying into hope that sitting out September could be the Cats' blessing in disguise.
For me personally, I've enjoyed the longer break. Obviously, it was a disappointing end to the season. We wanted to play finals, but you do look at that silver linings.
The Cats host the Bombers here in their final practice match tomorrow afternoon, and then will kick the legs up before what they hope will be a round one celebration against St Kilda, with the new Selwood stand to be officially opened.
Hopefully can fill it with 40,000 fans, sell it out for Skip, former Skip, Sal, still call him Skip.
Gary Rowan misses again with a back complaint, along with Ollie Henry, who's nursing a rolled ankle. Joshua Daw, 9 News.
A huge show of faith for North Melbourne, with young gun Harry Sheasel putting pen to a monster contract extension. Already contracted until the end of 2026, the 19-year-old added another 4 years to his deal.
Loving what we've seen from him so far, and can't wait to see what the next 7 years hold as well. So, congratulations, Harry Sheasel.
Sheasel's main goal now is to break that Roos premiership drought.
Obviously, the club hasn't been going too well the last few years, and we're just so keen to turn that around. So that's definitely the number one goal, and just to play as many games as I can at the highest level.
And you'll hear more from Harry on 9 News tomorrow night when our chief football reporter Tom Morris sits down for an exclusive one-on-one chat with the rising star. Cricket now, and all-rounder Cameron Green has saved Australia from, well, let's say embarrassment on day one of the first test against New Zealand. Green is 103 not out at stumps on day one. The Aussies 9 for 279 after a top-order collapse. Trent Neese with the highlights.
Australia needed a hero, and Cam Green answered the call.
There it is, punched away, backward a point. That is 4, that is 100.
With 2 balls to spare on day one, the all-rounder posted just his second test ton.
Just one of those days, and I think someone just needed to bat through, so yeah, I was glad it was me.
Playing a test in New Zealand for the first time in 8 years, Australia was forced to bat on a green deck.
Yeah, we're going to bowl, but not too upset with that.
But it wasn't the start to the first test the Aussies hoped for.
Airson taken!
Marnus Labuschagne's barren summer continued, out for 1. The visitors in trouble at 4 for 89, just after lunch.
There it is, outside edge, wobbled.
Mitch Marsh tried to stop the rot.
Up in the air to top edge, it'll fly over the slips though, and way back.
Before a wayward shot saw the all-rounder dismissed for 40. Lucky for Australia, Green was still at the crease. The number 4 spot, all but his.
In the air through Southie. That was a half chance, and it is going to run away for 4.
It seemed Green would run out of partners.
Willow Rourke picks up another, and Stark's on his way.
Skipper Pat Cummins made his intentions clear.
Cummins takes him on, and takes him on brilliantly.
But that didn't last long, and neither did Nathan Lyon.
Yes, that's gone this time.
Josh Hazelwood's role, stay out of the way and let Green get to work.
I reckon they're probably just on top. They've got obviously a pretty quality batting lineup, and we've got to bowl well tomorrow.
The 24-year-old 103 not out at stumps on day one. Trent Neese, 9 News.
Melbourne Rebels players admit it's been hard to stay focused as uncertainty around the club's Super Rugby future grows. It comes as all 12 teams gather here in Melbourne for the competition's annual Super Round.
Yeah, it's something that comes across the boys' mind. Like, we love Melbourne and we really want there to be a team next year, but look, we're just taking it week by week at the moment and game by game, so we're just focusing on the rugby.
The Rebels face the Western Force at Amy Park tomorrow night, and of course every match across the weekend live on Stan Sport. Well, they might be sparring partners on the Sunday Footy Show, but Nathan Brown and Kane Cornes are set to square off for real in the boxing ring. The pair is part of a star-studded fight night in Adelaide during next month's Gather Round, and the trash talking has already started. Boxing has been blessed to have legends of the ring. Think Muhammad Ali.
I'm ready to back up everything I'm saying, and I'm through talking.
And that other great orator, Mike Tyson.
There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous, my defence is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart, I want to eat his children.
Now there's Nathan Brown and Kane Cornes.
I've got the butterflies. I'm sure they're going to be there when I walk out.
So, in the blue corner, one-time footy fashionista, Nathan. In the red, Port Adelaide tough guy turned shock jock, Kane.
One of the reasons I was a draw card is because a lot of people want to see me get knocked out, so I'm conscious of that.
As for which of the two will claim bragging rights, that's to be determined over a marathon. Epic, bone-jarring. 4 rounds.
I think it'll go the distance. I'm hoping it goes the distance. I think it'll go the distance. So it was pretty loud there, wasn't it?
Also on the bill for the April 3 fight night in Adelaide, former Magpie teammates Dane Swan and Dale Thomas.
This becomes an interesting factor, doesn't it? Because it's all fun and games, as the old saying goes, until someone gets hit in the face.
In the battle of the heavyweights, it's Anthony Rocker against Corey McKernan. But much of the interest will be on Kane and Nath.
I mean, he played for Port Adelaide, but I even think those fans don't like him anymore either.
We can only wonder what Ali would make of it all.
I don't like fighters who talk too much.
But the biggest loser could be boxing itself.
Oh boy,
whack. I think you might pay for some of that scripting when the Sunday Footy Show comes back on air.
You should have seen it before it was edited.
Well, good luck then. All the best. All right, let's go back to Livinia, who is at Avenel tonight. Livinia, it has still been quite warm across the state today.
It has, Alicia. The westerly change has cooled things down by around 10 degrees today, but we're in for a much cooler weekend when the southerlies kick in. I'll have those details along with the Friday forecast next. Hello again from Avenel, a 90-minute drive from Melbourne and home to the beautiful Fowles wines. A visit to the area should also include nearby Euroa, especially for military history buffs. It's home to the Victoria Cross Museum, a fitting location as Euroa is the only place in Australia to produce 3 recipients of the honour. A little further down the road at Seymour, visit the Vietnam Veterans Commemorative Walk, the only one in Australia honouring all 60,000 servicemen and women and 11 tracker dogs who served during the conflict. Now, the final day of our road trip has been the coolest. It reached 31 here in Avenel, and the last day of summer has been fairly low-key in Melbourne. A bit humid but mild. The city peaked at 25 as blue skies briefly appeared this afternoon. Epping and Tullamarine climbed a little higher, both reaching 28 degrees. Ringwood wasn't far behind, 27. Further out, Hamilton also peaked at 27, 28 at Sale, and slightly warmer north of the ranges, with most places reaching the low 30s. But it was another very hot day in the northeast corner. Rutherglen peaked at 37 and 39 at Wodonga as that heat moves further north. Parts of Sydney's west have recorded their hottest February day in 7 years, with maximums of 40 and 41. But there are severe thunderstorms sparking up nearby as a cool change closes in. That'll knock the city back a few degrees tomorrow, top of 30. Brisbane's had a record-breaking summer for hot nights. It hasn't dropped below 20 degrees in the past 60 days, and that's set to continue with a low of 22 ahead of a top of 31. A top of 24 in Hobart, 29 in Adelaide, and Perth will be sunny and 34. Almost all of Victoria can expect a dry and settled start to autumn, heading for the mid-20s through the south. should reach 32 degrees here in Avenel, but there is the chance of thunderstorms in the far northwest later in the day. For Melbourne, it's going to be fairly mild overnight with minimums in the mid-teens. There should be more sunshine than today, which will help boost more suburbs up to 28 degrees. Slightly cooler near the bay with sea breezes pushing in. For Geelong, a partly cloudy top of 27. Heading for 26 in the city with sunny breaks, then a cooler weekend, a possible shower or two Saturday morning and just 20 degrees, 20 again on Sunday, 22 on Monday. Beach weather returns on Tuesday, 31 under blue skies, and 23 degrees next Thursday. This is the final leg of our road trip, and with help from Visit Victoria, I hope we've given you some great ideas for the upcoming long weekend. And of course, Easter holidays are also just around the corner, and make a stop at a winery like Fowles to support our local producers. It's not really a big ask, is it, Alicia and Tom?
We'll stop at a winery if we have to. All right, Livinia, thank you very much. And that is 9 News for this Thursday. Ali is up next with the current affairs.
We hope you have a great evening. For now, good night.